What is going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock, presented by BetMGM. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me over on the X at Eric Lindquist. I'm going to be alongside not just one, but two men today here. Lee, it was awesome to have Lee B. Calicor over on our show yesterday. Great information. We're bringing another guy from the data team in first, but actually first, going to go to my guy, Matt Belman here. He's going to be giving you all the tips and tricks of the trade here today. Go follow him at Fantasy Tips. Matt, how you doing, my dude?
Good, man. Excited to get on here, our once a week thing. So
Yeah.
let's have some fun for an hour.
Yeah, let's have some fun. Let it rip a little bit here. And then we've got, it's just going to be a lovely new introduction to those. Well, not new to us, that is for sure. But Rich Green here down below, another Ohio guy that's coming to us by way of Cleveland. Rich Green, how you doing, my dude?
Oh, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing great. His head is completely blocked in the frame. We are going to drop the camera down. There we go. Hey, there he is. That was beautiful. Rich, how you doing? Can you please give the people a little introduction of yourself?
Yeah, I've been working on the data team doing NBA projections for going on 2 years now. Played DraftKings a lot. Split a Millie Maker, had a couple other takedowns in MMA and NBA, and playing on FanDuel and stuff too. So just living the dream.
Rich Green's pretty good at the whole DFS thing. That is for damn sure. We've been lucky to have him here over in the streets. And now he's in front of a camera here, giving you guys great information. If anything breaking shows up throughout this show, he's going to jump in. He's going to talk through how the projections are changing. Because at the end of the day, it's great to have tips. It's great to have picks. It's great to have those things. But at the end of the day, it's about the data. And bringing the data team guys in to give you updated information in real time, that is going to be a game changer here on Live Before Lock going forward. We hope you enjoy it. It's going to be awesome. But before we dig into this slate, Matt Belman, anything that stands out to you for today? Because it seems as though we're going to be... That's all the chalk that we're taking from the Mavs tonight.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Like, these guys, generally, DraftKings has done a good job of pricing guys in this spot up. But they certainly didn't do that with, like, the second and third tier Mavs tonight, Jaden Hardy specifically. So I think a lot of that is chalk you have to eat. There's plenty of places to like get different and spend up options or mid-tier. I don't think you're making a smart decision by like not playing those guys. NBA DFS is what it is. There's a lot to like from that game though. Only 4 games on the slate. I think you can make a case for not playing a ton of Mavericks because other games look appealing, but I think you want at least some exposure in almost all lineups you're making. Do you see it similarly?
I definitely do. And that's where I want to bring in Rich here for one more thing here before we dive into this slate and start breaking it down a little bit more in depth. But from a data perspective, obviously the Sims are a huge game changer in the DFS landscape. And curious what you see when you see massive chalk, 5, 6 players, all at the top of ownership on a night like this. How does this dictate the way that you're going to go about building your personal lineups?
It's all about finding other guys that are around that same price point. For example, Josh Green is projecting pretty well, and if you don't make any edits, he's probably going to end up in a ton of your lineups. And then I like guys from New York where they're playing too. So everyone wants to jump on the chalky team, but then what about their opponent who's playing lesser competition generally? So I like looking at guys like Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, guys like that who are around the same price point, around the same position. We actually just got some news. Malcolm Brogdon ruled out. Jabari Walker ruled out. Not huge news, but it is something we need to react to. So
that's definitely something we need to react to, and it would be so great. Oh, wait, we do have somebody from our data team on here to talk through the projections changes. So last game is very difficult as you break it down a little bit here. And I'm going to turn this over to Matt Belman after I talk with you here, Rich. But we'll round this out here. We get DeAndre Ayton ruled out. Jabari Walker ruled out. Moses Brown, we know he had the wrist surgery here. So front court minutes were a little bit wonky in that blowout against New York. 21 minutes in the front court for Duop Reith, 27 that you had going to Baji. Assuming Duop Reith starts here in this spot, let's start with this front court. How do you kind of break down those minutes? Do you see it being an even split, or how do we handle this in a more competitive-ish spot? Considering what, 13-point spread as opposed to 16? That's more competitive.
Yeah. So this one's challenging because obviously Chauncey Billups just throws whoever he wants out there whenever he wants, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. What I like to look at in these situations is who would have an easier path of scoring well if they did get minutes. So Duop Reith on DraftKings is a little over a 1 point fantasy point per minute. And then Ibu Baji is pretty garbage, to be honest with you. And then again, looking at the competition they're going against, Chet Holmgren would probably just dominate Baji. So I would assume Duop gets more minutes just because of his athleticism, being able to play more on the perimeter. But I mean, this is a tough one. So regardless of what I project for, I think I'm going to give Duop a few extra minutes over Baji. But man, it's neither of those plays are technically safe with Chauncey Billups at the helm.
Yeah, but we want to find different ways to get contrarian here on a 4-game slate with mega chalk in one spot. And that's where Matt Belman, I have some questions. With Malcolm Brogdon ruled out, which kind of came out of the middle of nowhere, wasn't on the injury report at 5 p.m. Eastern time, or the 5:30 on a day like today, where that's kind of the main spot where it was coming in. But it has been strange to watch him mitigated to high teens, low 20s minutes here in recent spots, but he is a good fantasy producer. He does get stuff done when he's on the floor, nearly a 1.1 DraftKings points per minute player here this season. How much better do you see Simons, Scoot Henderson? Who are we really looking at here? Even Shaden Sharp, I think, probably sees a little bit of a bump.
I think that's the guy that you can look at as far
Sharp?
as like GPP, like log shots. I think it solidifies Simons and Scoot's minutes for sure, if nothing else. Doesn't make me like them anymore, probably. Brogdon just wasn't playing a lot, but certainly doesn't make you like them any less. So yeah, it makes me like them a little bit more. I phrased that poorly, but not sure it like gets them to the point where they're must plays is what I meant.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff though. But we're going to break this down a little bit more in depth, and I'm going to turn it over to Rich after I give you guys a little bit of information about something we have going over on the Stokastic X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, handle that we have going. Follow us at Stokastic_com. Yes, Stokastic_com. We have a giveaway for a free week subscription of NBA lineup generator for tonight. All you have to do is guess how many points you believe Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to score. You like and comment your answer on our latest Instagram post. Yes, but you follow that by way of the X. Yes, there you go. Jordan Klein pulling that up here for the people. Awesome stuff that we have going for you tonight. So again, you go to the Instagram handle, you simply write down who you believe is going to score, or how many points you believe Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to score, and you are all set up, signed up for that free week subscription of NBA Lineup Generator. We wanted to start right from the get-go with that. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up here with the Sims, a lot of great stuff talking about with the OS. It's 4-game slate, so it should be relatively easy to break down compared to some of these larger ones that we've had, specifically Wednesday. Seems like the only day with large NBA slates and things getting trimmed off at the tail end of evenings. But Rich, I know that gave you a couple of minutes there to update everything on the Portland side. How do you see changes for Simons, Scoot, Shaden Sharp, anybody else to really make of note? Somebody who is back here as well, Matisse Thybulle, 3,600. Maybe a really appealing tournament pivot, so long as we have enough minutes allocated for him.
Yeah, Thybulle looks a little bit better. In terms of minutes, though, still kind of low on the lower side. But at 3,600, definitely playable. He probably won't be pulling any ownership after the updates come through. Tumani Kamara is kind of intriguing as well. I'm sure he'll go really overlooked. You guys already hit Shaden Sharp, and obviously Anthony Simons is going to look great.
Yeah.
There's just really not that many bodies, so there's going to be probably 4 or 5 guys that play the bulk of the shares minutes, and then a couple other bench guys that'll get minutes, and then again, Chauncey Billups is so unpredictable. So, I mean, you could even throw a dart, probably not too playable, but Justin Minaya.
Chris Murray.
Chris Murray.
Here's my thing. Just talking about like the Baji Wreath.
Yeah.
I don't even think Baji's playable. Like, he sucks, first off, and he's 4K. Mm-hmm. He's not guaranteed to play any sort of minutes. I do agree Billups can pull anything out, but it seems like in competitive games, like Wreath is the choice. He's the guy that they'd like to have in there if he's not in foul trouble. He is more expensive, but like I think he has, you talked to earlier, Rich, about like the likeliest or easiest path. I think it's definitely Wreath in that spot if Portland can be competitive here.
100%.
Yeah, that is kind of the big if. Like if it's going to be competitive, that's where I think Anthony Simons is just 7,400. If you're going to be trying to get anything out of this situation, why not go to the best fantasy performer who has the highest minutes projection, who is probably drastically underpriced at 7,400, taking a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, who, I mean, that's the best fantasy contributor other than him on this Portland team. So for me, Simons is going to take a big step up at 7,400. And despite all the concerns we have for blowout, there's no doubt that playing Oklahoma City here with their pace is definitely going to help things. Over the course of this season already, 6th in the NBA, 101.1 possessions per 48 minutes for Oklahoma City. So despite the blowout concerns, it's a great game environment, right, Matt?
Definitely a great game environment. You've got Jeremy Grant revenge if you're into that sort of thing. My thing with Portland is like, and I agree with everything you said. I agree with Rich that like they don't even have that many bodies, but they're also ass. Like this team has shown a lot that when they're in these spots, they just won't even score. Like, and that's a problem. So I do think like the Portland ownership makes sense. I don't think like they're coming in way under owned because I do think it's one of the riskier spots on the slate. That said, like you got to embrace that in tournaments. And if this game is close, Simons is way too cheap, probably.
I'm with you. I think Simons is going to take a big step up. We're going to let Rich update everything again. Rich Green, one of the great genius guys behind our data team, behind our projections on a daily basis in the NBA. We're going to be utilizing him from time to time throughout the show, especially if news breaks, especially if there's something wonky like a Jabari Walker, well, you won't be starting anymore, but, if Baji ends up starting, how will that affect the landscape of it? Because that's something, they've shown apprehension to have Reith start at times. So there's that. He did start against the Knicks. So that's the assumption. We will keep you updated here. But Matt Belman, let's dive in because I have lots of questions for you about the Dallas Mavericks. I know you're writing some great articles over here at Stokastic as well. I ended up firing up one of my own as well today, and there's just no doubt that people have a propensity to just fade chalk blindly. They see a lot of ownership coming in on a guy, and they don't really think about it in terms of like what else you could possibly get in the range or the range of outcomes. And I just don't care. 96.4% is the highest ownership projection I've seen on a main slate all season long. That's what's coming in on Jaden Hardy, the presumed starter for the Dallas Mavericks. He's started in a lot of these spots without Luka Doncic throughout the season, 32 minutes against that Portland team we're talking about, 24 minutes against Golden State, 31 against Minnesota, 24 against Houston. As long as he's starting, he's out there chucking with nearly a 28% usage with Luka off the floor. How do we not just click him in every lineup tonight?
I mean, I think you do. Like NBA DFS is not about avoiding chalk like this. It's about finding spots to get different with guys that don't project so well, but are getting ownership for one reason or another. Like when you get to be as owned as Hardy here, because he's so cheap, there's more merit in just like, okay, I'm going to fade this guy because what if something crazy happens and like, he gets hurt or not even that. He just is good for his price, but like another guy in that price point is better. It's not how I play. Like when I first started playing DFS, I probably played that way, but NBA DFS is so projectable. I think you just plug those guys in and move on. I'd be much more apt for like a Kyrie fade than a Hardy fade. You just look at guys, and Rich mentioned this, you try to find guys at their price point. There's plenty of guys around Kyrie's price point that can outscore him on any given night, whether Luka's in, Luka's out, or whatever. Hardy's, I mean, with the way DraftKings prices nowadays, there aren't even that many players under 4K that are going to play, let alone start and have usage. So I think Hardy's a clear slam dunk free square in all formats.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. There's also no Dante Exum, also no Derek Lively, which leads me to the rest of this basketball team. I mean, I kind of brought up the prompt a little bit in jest, but a lot of my decisions are made through the Sims tools, through the data. And it just seems like the data is playing for Mavs in a lot of my lineups today, and I have absolutely no problem with it. But who are the main targets for you from the Mavs side? I know you're somebody who generally plays 3 to 5 lineups tops, that you're more concentrated in your allocation, playing in the high dollar events. How are you looking at the Mavs, and how are you picking who you're going to have in your lineups alongside Hardy?
I mean, the data is going to do a lot of that decision making for me, but just looking at it from like a 30,000 foot view, Hardy is the guy that I think you lock in. I think Kyrie is a really, really good play. I don't think like you have to play him like Hardy, but I think he's a really good play. The other guys are all good plays in their own right, but I think each and any one of them could bust just because none of them are like that good. Hardaway's also too cheap. All these guys are getting over-owned. So like I can understand the merit and process of like fading one of them, but it's just hard to know who it's going to be. That's why they're all getting love, because there's so much usage to go around with no Luka.
Well, let's go to the top then, because Kyrie Irving's at 9K, and you look at some of these other spend ups we have. I mean, there's no doubt that Kyrie projected for 52 fantasy points today over at Stokastic, our guy running the projections, Rich there. We got Kevin Durant up there that's, projected for nearly a little bit more than 5 fantasy points fewer there. LeBron, equal, comparable projection there at 9,700. You got SGA at the tippy top there, who's projected for a little bit more, and you have access to a super ceiling in Giannis, who it seems as though I'm just going to be massively overweight to compared to what the field is. But when you see a guy like Kyrie here at 9K, he's the one guy that, obviously the defense will be able to key in on him a little bit more. The Knicks, not that Jalen Brunson is some all-world defender, but they've definitely improved their defensive profile, adding a guy like OG Anunoby to playing a 34, 36-minute-a-night role. How are we looking at Kyrie Irving and dictating what we're going to do with a 51% owned Kyrie Irving tonight?
Is that to Rich or for me?
No, that's to you, my friend, Matt.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Kyrie, it kind of goes back to what I said a couple minutes ago. Like, on paper, Kyrie is a really, really strong play. Second in the boom bust tool, projected for more fantasy points than pretty much everyone priced ahead of him, except for, Shea. That might be it. Is he projected for the second most on the slate? No, Anthony Davis, Shea, and Giannis, obviously. But you talked about the guys that are that he's projecting similarly as, like LeBron, Tatum, Randall. Those guys are a little bit more expensive for the most part, but they're also getting like half the ownership at most. So like, that's where, like, in one lineup, I could see, instead of playing Kyrie, you play LeBron or whoever it is. Like, I'm not saying you fade Kyrie in, 150 or anything like that. And if I'm playing 3 lineups tonight, I'll definitely have Kyrie once. I won't have him 3 times. Will I have him twice? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's going to be, for me, something that really kind of dictate. Anthony Simons is going to be somebody that I get to.
Yeah, the more he's way too cheap.
I keep looking at it, and as I updated everything, and as Rich updated everything, I'm going to bring you on, Rich. Anthony Simons pulling 20% ownership, 41 fantasy projection here. Anthony Simons kind of a priority now on this slate if everybody's going to be flooding, because we've had the Kyrie news forever. We have 40 minutes until lock. I mean, Anthony Simons, how much of him do you plan on having tonight?
Yeah, I love Anthony Simons. One, if it's a competitive game, he should absolutely smash. I mean, he'd probably be the main reason it is a competitive game. And then 2, even if it's not a competitive game, he can still get to where you need him to get to. So definitely has a high floor, in my opinion, unless, of course, blowout. So got to keep that in mind.
Blowout.
Is
there something you can do? Is there something you can do in the Sims tool to kind of account for something like that? 13 obviously is the spread here. Portland is expected to get the doors blown off of them. OKC is on a back-to-back for whatever it's worth, but is there anything that you're kind of doing as you're building out your own portfolio to account for the blowout, or is it something that you kind of let the data do the work?
I always fall back on the data. You can always go game theory on this, and that's always an edge in DFS. You can be wrong a lot more than you're right, but when you are right, it can pay off in a huge way. Playing the game theory, if you want to play the blowout angle, obviously there's edge to be had there. But just assuming it's going to be blowout and not playing these guys could mean you don't cash anything at all. So it's all about your risk tolerance, to be honest, on that front.
Yeah. Here to win.
I think you could go the other way with it too and like stack this game, because Portland is so cheap that, like, you want Shea and one of or both Jalen Williams and Holmgren. You can get all of Portland's usage and minutes and everything for like affordable prices. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I love it. That's exactly what I was going to talk about, is trying to get to a little bit more SG, a little bit more Chet. If I'm planning on playing some Simons, you can go and give the ROI boost in the Sims tool. And by the way, I want to throw this out there too, because Michelle, one of our loyal listeners out there and loyal watchers, Melissa 03807728. Yes, I got that correctly over on the X. She ended up sending this lovely tweet. And when we see these in the or in the Stokastic HOF, the Stokastic HOF is phenomenal stuff. If you guys get the avatar, finish in the top 3, top 5,000 in a tournament of 5,000 or more, get in that top 3. You get a month of the Sims package, and seeing her go out and absolutely smash and get first there in that mini max is phenomenal stuff. She tweeted that over to the Stokastic HOF, and I loved seeing this so much that I wanted to put it up here on this show. She said, I took down the mini-max tonight from last night. That is great. Big shout out to Stokastic.com. When I said that the new Sims tool wasn't for me, I couldn't have been more wrong, and I'm glad to admit it. I'm just glad to see you finish first because, again, I see you all the time in shows, see you all the time. You're one of those awesome people in the YouTube comments. I've never seen a bad YouTube comment in my entire life for what it's worth, but really appreciate you. Can't tell you how much it means to be able to see success people are having here with our data, tools, and content. Again, the Stokastic Max package, you can sign up for that down below or at the link in the video description box that is so conveniently located down below. But I'm going to be pulling that up here with Jordan Klein. Jordan Klein's going to build out a bunch of these lineups for us here tonight with everything updated. It's going to be lovely. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to have a lot of Anthony Simons and SGA for me personally. Going to be getting to some SGA on the other side of this one and hope it stays close. That's for sure. But let's get ourselves back. Yeah, I am locked in. I appreciate you. Step up your game. I'm doing fantastic. We got
our
super
tools
chats.
love Portland tonight. Like just
yes, they should.
Bus tool. They're all coming in with so much leverage too. Like all of them.
It's going to be awesome to be getting to this Portland team as opposed to having to eat all of the chalk that was coming by way of Dallas and looking at all the dupes there. Definitely something that as soon as that news broke and getting the surprise Malcolm Brogdon scratch there, very happy to see it. But Jacob Cook, $5, Kyrie or LeBron for you tonight, Matt Belman?
It's Kyrie. I mean, he's cheaper and he's projected for slightly more, but LeBron's one of the guys, like if you played LeBron over Kyrie, like, I mean, I don't know what it is. If they played this slate 100 times, Kyrie outscores LeBron probably like upper 50s, 60 max, in my opinion. So like, there's a lot of ownership leverage in going to LeBron.
I mean, it's basically like a 50-50 coin split based on their projections. Obviously, there's
true.
a salary discrepancy, but there's a positionality element to it as well, where we have Hardy at point guard, shooting guard. You've got Kyrie at point guard, shooting guard. You've got Simons at point guard, shooting guard. There's a lot of intermixability, if you will, amongst those guys where we can kind of mix and match, get a little bit different by going LeBron like that idea of it. But again, it just depends on how chalky you are elsewhere in your lineup. That is where, again, the expected ROI, having the Sims run it out 10,000 times, it is useful, my friends. We got Clintwood 83, $4.99. There was no comment that came along with that. So if you had something you wanted to ask me, Clintwood 83, tag me at Eric Lindquist or Jordan Klein, Red Vine Klein down below. Beautiful stuff. He's doing a great job running the turntables here today. Per usual, best producer in the game named Jordan Klein. Andrew Williams, $1.99. Sorry if I missed, but can you go DK tiers? I will pull that up for you here. And while Matt's answering the next question, we will get to that. But my filler arc, $1.99. He wants to know Anthony Davis or LeBron last man in. Obviously, a little bit of a salary discrepancy there. Not as much as you have between him and Kyrie Irving, but you got a choice between Anthony Davis or LeBron. Pick one.
It's got to be AD. I mean, he just projects for significantly more. So AD.
Yep. James Recruiter, $1.99. Best play at each position and best cheap play, not Hardy. All right, that seems pretty simple. I think my favorite play relative to ownership at the moment is Anthony Simons at point guard. Jaden Hardy, he doesn't want to know about it because it's Jaden Hardy. He's 3,700 and assumed to be starting. Matt?
Yeah, no, I mean, under 3,700?
No. He was just saying best play by position.
Oh, yeah, it's
best cheap play.
I'm starting to think Simons is up there now.
He really is. I would say if you're looking for a cheapie at shooting guard, Shaedon Sharpe. I mean, I really like Shaedon Sharpe. They're 5,400.
Tim Hardaway.
Oh, Tim Hardaway as well. Yeah, he's going to be popular. We'll get to Tim Hardaway because that's a guy that I'm not quite getting at to the field here at the moment. Small forward, Josh Green for me. So that's your cheapie and the guy I'm getting to the most. Derek Jones is sub 5K for some forsaken reason here as well. But not somebody who's going to go out and, I mean, he can create his own shot when he goes in and just dunks with the left hand, but otherwise he's kind of just sitting in the corner waiting for Kyrie to kick it to him. But 4,900 does a lot of mitigation of my worries there for you, small forward.
It's Derek Jones. I don't feel great about it. Like, you're so right. He's not a guy that's just going to eat up a lot of usage, but he's going to play a ton. If Dallas is competitive, he'll be productive, in my opinion. He's not going to put up a slate winning score, but he's 4,900. Like, I also like Josh Green there, but I have even more concerns about Josh Green, even though he's cheaper.
And then power forward and center, same guy for me. Julius Randle. I mean, not that we're looking for run backs like this is an NFL slate or something, but kind of looking for something if I'm going to have 3-4 Mavs in a lot of lineups. Looking for something on the Knicks side, and I think he makes a ton of sense. How about you?
Yeah, I like 3 guys a lot from the Knicks, and Randall's certainly one of them. He's my power forward. Hartenstein's my center of choice.
Ooh, I like the Hardenstein call out. I mean, he gets Dwight Powell. That should be fun. Not going to be a high usage guy, but he doesn't need to be. He's just a good fantasy point per minute guy to a certain extent, playing a bunch of minutes more so than anything there. But wanted to get to the tiers. I got tiers for you right now. Tier 1 by a landslide, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Tier 2, Anthony Davis. Tier 3, Kyrie Irving. Tier 4, Anthony Simons now pretty noticeably over Kristaps Porzingis. Tier 5, Jeremy Grant now showing up. Tier 6, Scoot Henderson. Hopefully that helps you out. A lot of Portland Trailblazers showing up here in our projections. And I think there's really no problem with that whatsoever. Have you started out building out your lineups of what you want to do, Matt Belman, here with Portland specifically?
Yeah, I have. Man, I like Portland like a lot. That's never fun to say, but I kind of underestimated the no Brogdon. Like our tools really, really, really like Portland here. Sharp and Scoot are not guys like I am comfortable with, but I don't really care. They project really well now and they're not getting ownership. So we've already talked about Simons. I like Reith also now. Like if I'm going to play a bunch of those other Portland guys, throw Reith in the mix because I think he's productive if it's competitive.
Yeah, he's. I'm still a little bit. I'm still a little bit burned from that Knicks festivities. I mean, that was kind of a bummer. Just pure split minutes down the middle with him and Baji, as you said. Baji, not very good from a fantasy point per minute perspective, so not all that appealing even at 4K in a backup role. We'll see that starting lineup, and we'll be able to do something with it. Hopefully here by the time we get to lock, or by the end of this show, that is 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Let's see.
Jordan, I love Chet Holmgren here though as a run back.
Let's get to some of our favorite tournament guys. I think that seems like a fantastic opportunity. We're getting more Portland in our lineups. Out of your 3, are you playing Chet in 1, 2, perhaps all of them?
Not all of them. He's not that type of guy here at that price point, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up getting him in 2 just because like he is going to crush here. Portland has no answer for him, inside, outside, whatever it is. He's been playing really, really good ball. This is a game where he could get monster block upside. Like, I really, really like Chet. He's my favorite run back. Shea is the guy that you'd love to get to, but the positionality, the price point with Shea, like, I like Holmgren the most. And I think Jalen Williams is really sneaky. I'm a big fan of his game coming out of not Santa Clara. Did he go to Santa Clara? Yeah, I think he did. He went to Santa Clara. Yeah, he
did. Did he play with Poshimski? Or no, that was he was in Long Beach. My bad.
Okay.
But yeah, Santa Clara. Good stuff.
So he is like, again, I'm not playing him because of this, but back-to-back games of 52, 49 DraftKings points. Like, again, I'm not playing him because of that, but they're certainly upside at 7,200. Like, that's clear. What if it's another game where he takes over and they don't even need Shea to do as much as he does? Like, I like Jalen Williams and Chet a lot, like the other two, knowing that it could very well be a Shea game because a lot of them are.
I was right. Brandon Poshimski was up in Santa Clara as well. Yeah, I was going to say he was in Santa Clara as well. I wanted to double check that on myself. I just know whenever I see Santa Clara, that's Steve Nash season, right? That's Steve Nash season through and through.
Yeah. Yes, it certainly is. I remember watching him in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, crazy how good Jalen Williams has become.
Yeah. Great two-way player. Get you a bucket too. And really not scared of anything. The guy is built like a brick shed. So an enjoyable basketball player to have. Yet another guy for Oklahoma City. He's panning out. That team is panning out. Just like this will pan out for you if you guys check out BetMGM right now. They're the sponsor of our lovely program. And if you have legalized sports betting in your state, take advantage of this right now. It is on the screen. We have a QR code that's so conveniently put up there for you. Again, you deposit $10 or more, bet $5 on anything, and you'll get $158 in bonus bets. There's really no other attachments whatsoever to that. That is the deal. You bet $5 and get $158 in bonus bets instantly. It's $58 on the tail end of that to celebrate Super Bowl 58. We're excited for NFL playoff football. Going to be covering that with Greg Ehrenberg over the weekend. Very excited to talk some NFL. Got Matt Kajeski on Sunday. It'll be an enjoyable experience for everybody there. 6 games. Can't wait to check it out. And if you guys are looking to put a little coin on that in a legalized state, bet 5, get 158 in bonus bets, only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Amazing. Chris Williams coming in, doing a little drive-by, dropping off 5 Stokastic DFS active memberships for the people. Chris, you are just so kind, dude. We really, really appreciate you. Another question from Steve Simon, $1.99. He wants to know, Matt Belman, maximum number of Mavs in a single entry.
I mean, maximum for me would be 4, but I don't think like that's not a you have to play 4. Like a lot of people are going to play a lot of Mavs in single entry. They look good, but there are other plays on this slate. So 4 would be my max probably. I don't think this is a slate. I think, there are ways this slate plays out where 5. So I don't hate 5, but probably not something I would do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think 4 is kind of the number that I'm landing on the most. I did run some unencumbered sims earlier, but that was before the Portland news, before I got interest in other places. Now I'm pretty much looking at doing 4. I'll let you know when I finish out everything here, building my typical 50 on live before lock. I'm probably going to only play 20. I'm going to get out a couple of these lineups just because I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job intertwining between Belman, between Rich Green, between Jordan Klein. I want to give him some love and respect as well. These are things that matter. No discrimination here, squirrel. I won't rap, don't worry. That does it for the super chats. We'll check out the premium Discord here in a second, but wanted to ask you, Matt, because we said we'd dig into some tournament plays. You love Chet Holmgren. Is there anybody else from a tournament perspective that's making their way into your allotment of 3 lineups, your 3 big lineups that you make out per night?
I like Hartenstein a lot, as I mentioned earlier. Him, Chet, I know they're both centers, and then I'm gonna go back to the Jalen Williams call. Like, just not going to get any love. He's a guy I want some exposure to. If I play him in one lineup, I'll be way over the field. I like guys like that. So he's going to be like my super soaker blast off of the night or whatever it is. So give me Jalen Williams.
All right. Hang on. Bring Rich Green in here first off, because I will say, I want to do this because it's fun. It's an enjoyable experience. And I'm in the business of having fun. It hasn't been a whole lot of fun the last couple of days. I'm here to have some fun with my guy, Matt Belman and Rich Green. If you guys have joining late, I see a lot of people asking, hey, who's Rich? Who are you talking about? We got to the show late. Rich, tell the people who you are once more before we get to the nuke of the night. And you best believe I'm making you do a nuke of the night today.
All right, so I've been working on the data team, doing NBA projections as well as pretty much all the other projections for the last couple of years. Won a Millie Maker, taken down a handful, maybe even 10 other tournaments. Yeah, that's me, DFS addict.
And we're Secret Lab Bros. So,
Secret Lab Bros, baby.
Come on now, the gamer chair. Is there anything comfier in your life? Matt Belman, do you have a Secret Lab chair? Please tell me you do.
I don't. This is a DraftKings chair.
DraftKings.
Not even. No, I used Crowns for this. A while ago. So not even.
Never going to be able to do that again.
No. I'm glad I got it when I did, but I needed a chair. It was like, I had a ton of crowns at the time, so I was just like, fuck it, and got the chair.
Yeah, fuck it. Let's make it a boost day, friends. And hey, let's take off right now. Jordan Klein, cue up the nuke of the night. Here we go. Just me at my place of work, slapping a missile before it blows up on my dick. There it goes. There it was. All righty. We're going to start off with my friend Rich Green over here. Awesome to have him here on the program. He just updated everything in real time for Portland as well. While he was on the show, again, a man of many talents, multifaceted. Some would argue he's the Eric Lindquist of the data team. There's that. But I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a compliment. But Rich, I need to know, who is your favorite tournament play, the nuke of the night for the people out there?
All right, well, I hope I'm not stealing Matt's because he kind of mentioned this guy earlier. But after rerunning everything, right now, Shaden Sharp is showing up way over twice the field. So Shaden Sharp is my nuke of the night.
I am so very much here for it. Matt Belman, who is your nuke of the night?
I'm going to go same game, other side. I alluded to it a couple minutes ago. Give me Jalen Williams, who, fun fact, brother Cody Williams is probably or definitely going to be a lottery pick, could potentially be a top 5 pick.
Is he really? I didn't see that.
Colorado.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, Colorado. Yeah, he's an absolute boss. I got to say, for me, we have unlimited value. Unlimited, unbelievable value throughout this entire slate. And yet, somehow, some way, Giannis Antetokounmpo is 11% owned. I get it. He's $12,000. He is very, very expensive. He is not easy to get to. And you have Anthony Davis there at 10-3, who easily fits into lineups, but he is showing up over double the ownership of one Giannis Antetokounmpo at 12K with Shaedon Sharpe, with Anthony Simons, with these mid-range guys throughout the entire spot. And then Jaden Hardy. I don't see how I don't get over the field on Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. My nuke of the night, bar none. How do you feel about that one, Belman?
I love it. I wrote him up in the Contrarian article you alluded to a little bit ago. Man, I'm currently not getting there, but like Giannis, whenever you see someone like as the highest projected player on the slate also coming in with leverage, like, yeah, I love that. I will counter that by saying, like, there's a reason he's not getting the ownership because he's expensive and he's not in a good spot. It's Giannis, so that doesn't really matter, but that's why people aren't going there.
Well, no Al Horford, I think, makes me feel a little bit better. Doesn't it make you feel a little bit better?
I mean, no, I don't really care. I don't think Al Horford's doing much to stop Giannis these days.
Well, I don't think anybody is. That's kind of the point, is that the one guy who might be able to do a little bit of something, let's just put it this way. I don't have faith in Sam Hauser going out and doing anything against one Giannis Antetokounmpo at any point in time.
Boston's got bodies, though. Like, you're right. They don't have anyone to one-on-one Giannis. Horford wasn't doing that either, but, like,
yeah,
they'll throw bodies on him. Giannis can have a game against anyone, but, like, Boston plays good defense. I think you'll admit that.
Yes, they definitely do. Again, it's not one of those things that I'm saying. The matchup and what exists elsewhere in the slate is kind of the reason that you're getting him at this ownership.
Right.
And what I'm saying is that he's still positively leveraged in the boom bust tool, which speaks to like him being optimal. There are a lot of ways that he just scores the highest raw points on the slate.
For sure.
And you want to get to him in some capacity. So for me on a slate like this, that's kind of my default. Whether it's a Luka Doncic slate or, a Giannis slate or an Embiid slate when healthy, God forbid he doesn't come back here. I do want to see a true MVP case. It would suck to see him play like 63 games and not win MVP because of that. That would be really silly to me, but is what it is. I suppose those are the rules and they're going to stick to them for at least 1 year. But I don't care if it's any of those slates. I want to get to the top guys when there's a lot of value elsewhere, and that is Giannis for me today. Cool. We got 20 minutes left in the program. Smash the like button. Doing a great job, Matt Belman. You're doing a phenomenal job. Talk to me about Dwight Powell and some of these guys that I might not be at the field on. I get the reason that Dwight Powell is chalk. He's 4,200. There's no Derek Lively there in the front court. I have a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm going to get there, 0% or anything, but I'm at 20% right now. He is 43.8% owned. We have other options. And, I talked about power forward center with Giannis. Same thing exists with the Julius Randle and Anthony Davis, some of these other guys. Is there anybody popular that you're shorting on this slate the way that I am Dwight Powell?
Dwight Powell. Like, he's a guy easy. It is. I think he's easy to get away from just because he's like not cheap enough like Hardy, and he's not productive enough where there aren't other guys in his price tier or price range that can outscore him, like Christian Wood at the $100 more, who projects for a couple less fantasy points. All of a sudden, if Wood gets a couple more minutes, like, he will crush Powell. It's not a good matchup for Powell. I talked about liking Holmgren and Hartenstein. I'm happy to not play Dwight Powell. If he beats me, he beats me. I'll play tomorrow.
I see people bringing up Christian Wood, who has re-entered favor in Los Angeles in some capacity. I'm not sure that's the guy on this slate that I want to be making any kind of a stand with at 4,300. I know you just brought him up, but like, God, that makes me feel really uncomfortable just to hear you say the name. I know he's a good fantasy producer, and Powell's 8.86, which among centers, that's not the best number that you're looking at. He's not quite Baji, but he's not quite Christian Wood. I do get that kind of case, but I mean, I want to get to this mid-tier of like Nurk and Hartenstein and mix them into my portfolio of lineups. And then power forward center just kind of dominating the position for me. Randall, Davis, Giannis, getting to a lot of those guys. Anybody else, though, that you're not getting to the field on for this slate? Because again, Tim Hardaway Jr. is the other guy for me that there is no doubt that I understand why he's getting the ownership, 5,300, but he's been coming off the bench in a lot of these situations. And if Dallas does get the doors blown off, not that it's likely, they're only 4-point dogs, but he could miss a last rotation And he's got to get there shooting the basketball. And he has not shot the basketball well alongside Luka and Kyrie here. Obviously, this is a Knicks squad that has some wings, has some guys that can do the defensive damn thing now with Josh Hart and OG Anunoby. But Tim Hardaway Jr., another piece of chalk that I'm not quite getting to what the field is, playing a lot more of the Portland guys. How do you feel about Tim Hardaway Jr. and then anybody else that you might be shorting?
I am playing, so I'm not playing Powell as of now, and I'm fine with it. I'm playing 3 lineups tonight. I'm playing pretty much everyone else of relevance, but I'm under on Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Okay.
Kyrie, it's just what I talked about earlier. Like, there's just other ways to build. He's still 9K. Like, he could break the slate, but even if he has his 52, like, there are ways where, like, that is, fine, but not like an absolute necessity. There's specifically guys like Simons, Jalen Brunson, etc. So I want exposure to them, but I have no problem being underweight on Tim Hardaway specifically and Kyrie. Josh Green and Derek Jones Jr., I think are harder to get away from just because they're so cheap and, they're filler guys at weak positions. So coming in a little bit over the field on Derek Jones, and what's Josh Green? I'm probably over the field on him too. Yeah. Because like for me, if I'm playing 3 lineups, I'm either playing 100% of someone, 66%, 33 or 0. So if I play Green and Derek Jones in 2 lineups, I'm over the field. Whereas if I play Kyrie and Tim Hardaway in 1, I'm under the field and I'm fine with it.
Hey, Jordan Klein, did you build out some lineups here over in the Sims tool? Look at this. This guy's fantastic. I want you to do me a favor because I think that this is kind of an important talking point. We have a lot of popular plays. We have a lot of smashing, quote unquote, fantasy point per dollar plays. It's going to be like a 6x, 7x, 8x night for a lot of those guys for whatever that's worth. I don't think about things in that capacity, but can you sort by dupes? Because there are going to be some positive ROI lineups that end up duplicated on a slate like this. And I want to at least warn people to know that, hey, if it looks perfect, if it seems too good to be true that you can play this player and this player and this player, it might be duplicated. And a dupe today is kind of lethal on a 4-game slate where I'm looking at some of my simulated ROI lineups and they're positive ROI lineups, but like 7 dupes, 5 dupes, 4 dupes,
right.
4 dupes. I'm looking at this, and for me, that's something that I want to be thinking about quite a bit. And that's where I want to bring in Rich Green. Is this something that you ever take a look at in avoiding duplication? Because this is a 4-game slate. It's kind of rare, but because some of these really good plays are jumping up to the top of the Sims tool, they do have positive simulated ROI, but do you remove the dupes when you put them and upload them, or do you keep some of those in?
I remove the dupes. I also create my own field of lineups as well. And the parameters I set while creating those lineups, pretty much I don't have to worry about duping. That is definitely something to pay attention to, especially if you're just generating your lineups. And yeah, you should try to stay away from dupes. Like you said, on a 4-game slate, duping is going to be a thing on top of the fact that there's so much chalk on this slate. The one thing that we haven't really mentioned though, is that we're just assuming that Jaden Hardy's going to start. And I think he will too, but there's a chance that he doesn't. So it's definitely something you want to keep an eye on. It's one of the later games. So I know he's cheap, but if he's like one of your last guys in your lineup and maybe it's him and like LeBron or a high spend up guy, then it's going to be hard to kind of balance that out. So just kind of keep that in mind, I guess, is what
I think you're much better off if you have like him and a LeBron as opposed to just him though, because then if you have like him and a LeBron, you can at least go to like, I don't know, Tim Hardaway and whatever and Austin Reeves or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a really good point because Hardy is still a good play off the bench, but not at 95% ownership.
Right.
Yeah, there's a Devin Booker at 8,900 that I think has a lot of utility in LA. We got to find out if his ex-girlfriend's in the building. That would be good. We need a Jenner update, because does he have motivation in his heart? Is he a man scorned? Because, that's going to dictate how I build out my lineups. No, it's not going to mean anything, but she is really hot for what that's worth.
She's really hot. And I got a good play that we haven't talked about at all that I'm sure no shows are going to talk about. This isn't like a really good projection play, but again, I wrote my Contrarian article today, and he's still standing out like amidst all the Portland guys. Precious Achiuwa, only 3,400, projected for only like 15 DraftKings points, but optimal 16% of the time, only getting 6% ownership. Like, that is a real easy way to get different no opportunity cost. He's 3,400 now. Like all of a sudden, if he gets a couple extra minutes, like he can smash that price. I really like him, like for multi-enter specifically.
Yeah. I don't mind that shout out. I mean, he obviously has a major minutes downside.
Sure.
I think that if you're building these out by hand, I mean, he did play 20 minutes in a blowout against Portland. I mean, maybe if you're building out some lineups by hand, and that's something that you're able to kind of do, building out 3-5 lineups, I think having Precious is not the worst deal as like the blowout type lineup. You play Hardy and, you know, any other Mav you think can end up being on the floor. It probably gets you away from playing some of these other, like it gets you away from playing Kyrie, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that would make some sense. You can kind of talk me into that from a game theory aspect at that kind of ownership. So I don't mind that shout out. He was somebody that I think was in my highest projected ROI lineup earlier in the day. That's changed a little bit for me here in the Sims tool, but definitely somebody to consider there in that game environment and just in a game that, depending on what Mavs you're playing, I think you can definitely talk and tell yourself a story there. But great work over there from Rich talking through some of the dupes. We have 11 minutes. Everybody smash that like button for us here. Trying to do the best work we can for you, give you great updated information. And then also, hey, we can give you some great bets over at OddsShopper as well. You can sign up for the Discord now. You can sign up for OddsShopper, the positive EV tool, everything we have to offer over there for a really low price now, $14.99 for a week of it, $49.99 for a month of it. But then use promo code Lindy, that's me, Lindy, get 20% off that all-in-one package of the expert picks, the Discord, the premium tools. I'm in there talking pretty much as soon as this show gets over, hanging out with people, sweating some bets, throwing in some prize picks, doing a lot of really fun stuff there with a community that's very, very sharp. I know Greg Ehrenberg has been hanging out there as well as in the Stokastic Discord. Great opportunity for you to go make some money. And hey, if you're in a non-legal state, you have an opportunity to check out the Fantasy Optimizer for prize picks, for Underdog, for all of these great sites. And again, the premium EV tool, I can't tell you how valuable it is. Always going and cross-referencing a lot of the projections that we have here at Stokastic with some of the top plays, looking at the prop market, having some good feel, having some good feedback there with that positive EV tool, and firing up some bets on a daily basis. So if you guys want to check that out, 20% off, promo code Lindy, sign up for OddsShopper today. 10 minutes to go here, Matt. Anything that you wanted to bring up with your lineups that you're kind of noticing as you're finalizing things? Because one thing I got to say is that it's like, I'm just playing so much Dante DiVincenzo, Shaden Sharp, and it's allowing me to get to Giannis as opposed to like, I don't know. There's just not a ton of Kyrie in the way that I had earlier in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Like he's coming in over-owned. Giannis is coming in under-owned.
Oh, that's because it's my fault. I had the wrong number. I had him in for 42 instead of 52. So I accidentally changed that by hand. I might want to fix that here in the next 9 minutes. Always good to catch that when you're on live before lock. I'm like, why do I have 0 Kyrie? That would make sense.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Oops. There we are. Fixing that. Now we are getting to 48%. I'm okay with that. 48% Kyrie. I'm going to be just fine with that. Getting to a lot more of Jaden Hardy, 100%. Shaden Sharp. So much Shaden Sharp. How much Shaden Sharp are you playing, Matt?
At least once. We'll see if I end up playing him twice. He's not a 3 lineup type guy for me. Just still too much minutes, volatility. But I like him a lot. Like, I think he's a really good play. Not going to be surprised if his ownership ends up higher than what we have, though. And to see a couple other guys' ownership lower. That's how it usually works.
Yep. I'm going to update everything on my end one more time, do one more run, and make sure we are all set to go. Yeah, that is better. That is so much better. Like 45, 50-ish Kyrie Irving I can live with here. I want to ask you about Scoot Henderson. This is one guy we haven't talked about at all. He was so egregiously bad to start off the season. Doesn't matter. He's underpriced. He falls into that bucket of guys on the Portland side I want to get to as well. You got Jeremy Grant. There are more guys than just Shaden Sharp and Anthony Simons to get to from the Portland side. Are either of those guys making your lineups?
Yeah, our tools love these guys. So I trust the tools more than just like what I think. And I think DFS, like a lot of things in life, is a lot of nuance, and certainly this is a nuanced type slate. And the tools just are screaming Portland here. I mean, as far as leverage goes, 3 of the top 5 guys on the slate are from Portland, and Sharp, Grant, and Henderson. So yeah, I might have exposure to each of those guys.
Me too. This is going to be a fun slate. Looking at my main lineup, 3 Portland guys, 4 Dallas guys, and just Giannis just sandwiched in the middle. That is going to be a lovely thing. That's my top ROI lineup. Just plucking it straight from the top, throwing it in some single entry here. That'll be an enjoyable experience. I did get a little bit of how much Precious did I end up with here from the Sims tool as well, because I ended up with a decent amount of him, not nothing, 8%. So I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, especially if you're playing Giannis, it makes sense.
Yep, 3,400. Doing some interesting things. I'll probably edit a couple of these by hand as I'm making sure that it kind of tells the story that I want it to. But Jaden Hardy, pretty unavoidable. Going to have him in all of those for darn sure. 7 minutes to go. Everybody smash the like button. Everybody's saying Sharp, hey, he isn't even starting. That doesn't matter. Rich Green, let's bring him back in here because we did get the starting lineup we were kind of expecting from the Portland Trailblazers. So that was kind of the last piece of news that had hit here. From weird news sources, we got News God over here, but Henderson, Simons, Kamara, Grant, Reith. Want to know how many minutes you have Shaedon Sharpe projected for, and why is he still such a smash play coming off the bench?
Shaedon Sharpe, is that who you asked me about?
Yep, Shaedon Sharpe.
I think he's gonna, even though he's not starting, he's been he came back off that injury where he missed some time, and he is without a doubt one of their better players. We already talked about how they're, undermanned. They only have, their team sucks to begin with, and when they're already missing more players, I think he's still going to play a good chunk of minutes off the bench, even though Toumani Camara is starting. Everything else was exactly how expected. I still think Sharpe is a fantastic play.
Yep,
I don't think anyone expected Sharpe to start, did they?
I don't think so. I would hope not, because Toumani Camara has been starting since the dark ages. Like, he has been starting since November 14th. So Toumani Camara, we kind of always expected to be starting there at the 3/4, him and Jeremy Grant, and then going to a big there, Duop Reith. There's been times where they've said, hey, Duop, you're going to sit, but it was usually for Moses Brown. Moses Brown being out. Kind of the exact starting 5 we were expecting. And I think that's kind of what adds to Shaedon Sharpe's sneakiness. Well, I'm all about the sneakiness, sir. So 5,400 for him there. 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy. You can upgrade that a little bit. Good game environment for pace. And they have no reason not to just let him play unencumbered minutes. He played 40 minutes in a competitive spot against Brooklyn off the bench the other night. So I have no issues with Shaedon Sharpe. Got him in for 32 minutes. That is going to have him show up in a lot of lineups at 5,400 for me as well. But Rich Green's Nuke of the night, wanted to give him an opportunity to explain the projections, explain the thought process with that one.
Also, real quick, Toumani Camara has started a lot of this season, but he rarely plays actual, I call starters minutes. He rarely eclipses 30 minutes. He's more of a guy that gets in there, plays good defense, plays hard, and you'll be happy with like 28 minutes from him, but that's not even a guarantee.
Love it.
And a lot of times with these guys, it's better when they come off the bench. Look at Cam Thomas today. Like, there's a lot less usage with that second unit, or if they're bringing Sharpe in for any one of those guys. So, yeah, I would expect if this game is close, Sharpe to be closing, maybe instead of Kamara, depending on how the game flows. But he's one of their better players, as he alluded to. So I'm with it.
Almost made. I don't understand what changed from this morning. They literally barely spoke of Portland. Brogdon was barely playing. Brogdon was barely playing, but you take him 20 minutes off the floor. That's minutes that are generally going towards the guys that you are now getting a bump to, Shaedon Sharpe. And you got, Aiden, we expected out. Jabari Walker, that was a guy that we had in earlier in the day as well. Jabari Walker, if he had ended up showing up, he's been playing around 25 to 30 minutes off the bench any given night, and is also somebody from a fantasy point perspective, 0.96, not terrible in that regard. So Jabari Walker being ruled out, that changed. Malcolm Brogdon got ruled out from the clouds. That came from nowhere. Those are 2 pretty big pieces of news that have kind of changed the complexion of a team that has a great matchup in terms of pace, not a great matchup in terms of actually winning a basketball game, that's for sure. 2 super chats to touch on, and then we will be at lock, I am pretty sure. Chris Albers, $2. Tatum smash, question mark. No one talking about him. Thank you for the super chat. Matt Belman, nobody is talking about Tatum. That's for sure. Should they be?
No, but he's in that group of guys. Like, you can play in tournaments on any given slate. It's Jason Tatum. Like, he can go out and have a 60 ball on any night, but for his median projection, he's way too expensive. And I just want to touch on whoever asked about, they didn't talk about Portland this morning. I caught a little bit of that show, and I know Greg, when he spoke on Portland, was, kind of talking about the blowout angle, and they didn't touch on Portland that much, but different strokes for different folks. And when more injury news comes out, like we got Walker and Brogdon, it changes things.
Yeah, definitely does. Brian Ackerley, $1.99. Quentin Grimes, question mark. Are we going to get grimy with Grimes tonight?
No, he's now like 44K something. So no thanks for me.
It's 4,200 here. Yeah, he can go out and get you a bucket from time to time. He's playing more of the quote unquote quickly role, which he's enjoyed a lot more than being a starter. We went like scorched earth on the world, being like, oh, if I don't knock down shots early, I get pulled, yada, yada, yada. Go through any of his box scores here. If he's not knocking down shots really, really early, there's really no path for it. And then at 4,200, you need two things to go right. You need a 0.64 fantasy point per minute guy to go way over, and you need something else to really get ramped up here as well. Oh, cool. Did my camera go out at the most opportune time? Jordan Klein, he's just like, oh, I'm so over it. Oh, I'll go back. Here we are. Maybe. So it's like at the very end. I don't know how it happens. I never know what she's doing. There we go. Let's get ourselves the heck up out of here, shall we? Matt Belman, phenomenal job. Go follow him at Fantasy Tips Matt, please. That would be awesome. Rich Green, is there anywhere where they can go follow you on the Twitter so that they can be informed of your goodness?
Rich Green 4 on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Let's go. That's good stuff. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as Matt and I did. Smash the like button for sure. Jordan Klein, phenomenal job, per usual. We got to buy you some clothes one day. We'll buy you some clothes. Maybe one day. Rich like that, at least. Matt has that sneaky little smile going. He's like, yeah. Let's go make some money here, everybody. Smash the like button, please. That is phenomenal stuff. We are going to get ourselves the heck up out of here. I'm Eric Lindquist. You can follow me at Eric Lindquist as well. Best of luck in the NBA streets tonight.